And welcoming you back here into the Orange Media Network studios. I am Keenan Puncocher alongside Kalib LaChappelle. Thank you for tuning in, first time, or if you're sticking with us all night, we appreciate it. We are bringing you live updates throughout the night of key battleground states as well as election news throughout the night. Of course, we are also paying attention to Oregon coverage as well. That will come a little bit later on the key ballot measures such as 97, 98, 99, as well as the governor's race and the Senate race as well. So when we left, we were talking about the key state of Virginia and how Donald Trump was having a lead. And as we actually are coming back, we can see that Donald Trump right now is actually currently leading in most battleground states such as Florida, such as Colorado, such as Virginia, such as Michigan. Right now, again, not a lot has come in right now. Colorado, for example, right now is about 43% in. Clinton has just a slight lead there. But the key state right now to pay attention to is Florida. 94% of the vote is in, and Donald Trump still maintains about a 2% margin right there. Again, it might be some time before we begin to see Florida 95, 96% in right now. But again, talk about how important it is right now for Donald Trump to be at least marginally ahead in these key battleground states.
I mean, the battleground states are where you have to win the election. It's a race to 270. The first one to hit it wins. Florida, 29 electoral votes. I'm sorry. That's a huge chunk. That's the biggest battleground state on the map right now, along with Virginia and New Hampshire. New Hampshire leaning red.
Yeah, again, New Hampshire, it's not historically a state that's been leaning red. New Hampshire has been a pretty Democratic state out there with its partners of Vermont and Maine. They've been pretty Democratic for quite some time. So it's interesting to see, I'd say so far. And even I'm looking here on Virginia right now, Trump has a 2% lead with 77% of the vote in. In New Hampshire, early voting at 24% in, Trump has a lead of about 2,000 votes. So again, I think it's closer than a lot of people may have projected so far.
Much closer.
Even with the states of like New York and Texas, the big chunk states going in, it's not super surprising to see. I think right now the country's eyes is on Florida and Ohio as votes start to come in. Even in Pennsylvania, they're starting to come in. But it's interesting to see how, even though I guess what we can transition into is how Hillary, it's no mystery that she's outraised Donald Trump.
Yes.
She, a lot of her campaign staff and a lot of reporters have said that if she wins, it's going to be because of her ground game.
Yeah.
Because that she was hitting more rural counties, more counties that mattered. She was holding less speeches, as we know, and less crowds, but she outraised Donald Trump's total spending. She spent something like $128 million on, Monday and Tuesday alone. And so it's really interesting, I think, to see how Donald Trump is edging slightly in these battleground states, even with the amount of money that Hillary has spent.
Yeah, I mean, she spent money, but I mean, Donald Trump, he's focusing more on the rally approach, more on the media approach, and I think that's with how massive the media is in the United States. Everybody's got a phone, everybody's looking on Twitter, everybody's looking on Facebook. They're not seeing Clinton rallies, they're seeing Trump rallies.
Exactly.
And I think it's a slow shift in the way politics is going to be fought. Just a quick update on these battleground states. New Hampshire, Donald Trump's got about a 1,000 vote lead. New Hampshire is, of course, the brother state to Vermont, where our good friend Bernie Sanders, the far left candidate that opposed Clinton in the primary is.
It's interesting to see Clinton with such a narrow lead in that state when really she's counted on the support of Bernie Sanders and his supporters.
That's true. Bernie Sanders come out in support and mainly in denial of Donald Trump multiple times in the past weeks and in the past months. Pennsylvania, another key state, Hillary holds about a 14% lead there. That's a solid chunk, but again, only about 19.5% of the precincts reporting there. And Wisconsin actually just flipped to being a shade of light blue. Hillary Clinton holding about a 2% lead there. So we're seeing some painting being done on this map right now.
Yeah, I agree. And, one of the big things that we have talked about and that the country has kind of looked on is Hillary's emails.
That
I
is
hate to
true.
bring them up, but, it was recently announced from the FBI that she was cleared of really any criminal wrongdoing. Which I'm sure she was, having a big sigh of relief there.
I'm sure.
And, I think to many people's surprise, what I was hearing is that the early voting is going to kind of save Hillary, in that before these emails came out, early voters already voted maybe for her. But now that she was kind of cleared of any wrongdoing again, do you think that really this email scandal can kind of be put to bed once and for all? Or do you think it's going to haunt her for the rest of her presidency if elected?
I think it will for sure haunt her for the rest of her presidency and the rest of her political career if she isn't elected. It's a buzzword, man. Email is a buzzword. It's become a buzzword in the last couple of months. And anything to throw, Donald Trump, he's got multiple things thrown at him, and just being able to throw an FBI investigation back at a opposing candidate, it's a big stone to throw.
Yeah, and she's had other gaffes. She obviously called half of Donald Trump supporters deplorables, and she's saying things such as Bernie Sanders supporters are people who live in their parents' basements, who can't admit that they can't get a job or something like that. So she's had a lot of gaffes, and I think both candidates really have. Obviously, the leaked audio from Donald Trump on the tour bus where he said some choice expletives there. It's interesting because when we look back to the 2012 election, one of the largest things that kind of undid Romney was his 48% comment, saying that 48% of the country is on welfare. They're not going to go vote for a Republican candidate anyway. And that kind of really, a lot of analysts like to point to is that kind of his downfall.
Yes, for sure.
And I think that kind of undid him, as well as maybe some of his flip-flopping. But really in 2016, what we're seeing is candidates are getting, I think, a lot more slack because both are very imperfect candidates. So far we're seeing both candidates come out, and I'm sorry, but any candidate that says the P word on public while recorded usually doesn't have a chance of winning, and here he is leading in key battleground states.
Yeah, a candidate like that usually does not have a chance at all. Leading in battleground states after something like that comes out is a huge change.
And just not to cut you off there, but we are getting breaking news here that Donald Trump, new projection, he is going to win 8 electoral votes in the state of Louisiana. That's not a big surprise. Also, Hillary Clinton's going to win 7 electoral votes, I believe.
Yep.
Which state was that?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. So she did win 7 votes there in Connecticut. Now, both states, Louisiana, obviously, Romney carried in 2012, and in Connecticut, Hillary actually carried that as well. Want to bring you up to a quick speed. It looks like 136 electoral votes for Donald Trump compared to 104 for Hillary Clinton. Again, the magic number is 270, with Connecticut going to Hillary and Louisiana going to Donald Trump.
New Hampshire's also just flipped to a lighter shade of blue. Miss Clinton, and as I say that, it flips right back. That's the election we're living in right now, folks.
There it is.
Donald Trump now has about a 400 vote lead there in that state of New Hampshire. Wisconsin, Hillary Clinton has about a 4,000 vote lead. That margin is getting slightly larger. Colorado, Hillary Clinton's holding about a 100,000 vote lead. And in Mr. Johnson's home state of New Mexico, votes are starting to come in, and Hillary Clinton is leading by about 60,000 there.
So we're about 18 minutes away from our polls closing in Nevada, Utah, and Iowa. Those are some key states. Iowa especially, they consider this year as a battleground state. Statistically in 2012, Iowa was won by Barack Obama, but this year they're saying, Iowa, there's been a lot of disgust with Hillary Clinton, I think,
yes, there has.
And there has been a lot of support for Donald Trump. So we're going to actually go ahead and take a quick break here in just the next couple seconds. We're going to talk about how Donald Trump was able to win 8 electoral votes in Louisiana and 7 for Secretary Clinton in Connecticut. So stick with us here. We're going to be live all night with you. So stay tuned for more from Orange Media Network.